Imagine this. You go to you're in an interview. And you go to the interviewer's office and you sit down at the chair across from the interviewer. And the interviewer looks at you, middle-aged guy, very sharp eyes. It's like nothing escapes him. And you sit there, and the interviewer says, "Tell me something about yourself." And you say, "I like long walks on the beach, like cute kittens, like to cuddle." Now you're probably thinking, "Tim, that's about dating, not about interviewing." And I thought the same sort of thing. That dating and interview were just completely different worlds, apart from each other. Until I read this article by Skip Freeman. And Skip talked about the 3 different levels of answering that "tell me something about yourself" question. And the more I went through it, the more I started thinking, it's kind of like a date. So, if you've ever researched about interviews, how to do interviews, taking a look at the list of questions that they ask on the internet or wherever, you find that "tell me something about yourself" is consistently listed as the top question. Every interview you go to, probably at some level or another, going to ask you to tell you something about themselves. So the challenge is, how do you answer that? And a lot of people, when they get in that situation, they just kind of make up stuff as they go along. And it's kind of what I did. You kind of make up stuff and kind of hope everything would go well. Until I read this article by Skip Freeman, and it laid out how you answer each step. There are 3 steps in how you answer each step. So today, you will learn how to answer the "tell me something about yourself" question. And even if you aren't in an interview, this can be useful when you're going to any situation where you're trying to get a higher job position, where you're just trying to market yourself or market your services. Somewhere people are going to want to know something about you, and this will help you answer that. Why you? Who are you? That type of thing. So I'll start with the first part of the question, just the impression. First impression they get, how to nail that first impression. Then continue the second part of the question that fills things in a little bit more. And finally continue to the third part of the question and how to answer that. And so when you finish this, you will understand at the end how to answer that question. Tell me something about yourself. And the first part of the answer, the first thing that a lot of people make a mistake on. Some people get it, but a lot of people make a mistake. And the problem happens when you're in an interview or any situation where you want to impress people. When you make a mistake right at the beginning, there's a real negative response. And you're in that interview and you're sitting across the table of the interviewer, you'll notice their head dips down, get that look of, got another one, checking your watch, see how much time you're wasting in theirs. You blow that first part of the answer, right from the beginning, you're dead in the water. They've already crossed you off the list. They're moving on to their mind to the next person. They're kind of looking outside to see how long the line is. You're gone. But if you answer that question right from the beginning, the interviewer may not make any obvious change, but you'll see a little bit of light in their eyes. They'll say, "Finally, somebody's starting to get this stuff. My time isn't wasted after all." Don't check their watch. They look at you a little more closely. So answering that question right is that first step, that first foot in the door to success, to being successful. And the first thing, according to Skip Freeman, is to end the mystery, give them your history. End the mystery, give them your history. In other words, forget about the interview for just a moment. Just imagine you're you're out on a date. Think about a date you've been on. When you're on a date and you're sitting across the table from this person, it's a beautiful table, maybe there's some nice fancy tablecloth on it, maybe a fancy French restaurant, nice music playing in the background. You're sitting there very comfortable, looking at this other person, the other end side of the table, and you're looking at them and thinking, are they an axe murderer? Is there anything psychologically wrong with this person? Can I ask them if there's any history of mental illness in their family? These questions start going through your mind. And the more you think about it, the more you wonder just, who is this person anyway? Have I made the worst mistake of my life? Is this going to be a threat to me? Well, in an interview, it's kind of the same sort of thing. In an interview, they're sitting there and they're thinking, who is this person? And what sort of thing is going on with this person across the table? Why should I pay attention to this person? What sort of thing's going on? Are they going to cause a problem in my company? Are they going to be one of the people that hire them and then all of a sudden they find out later a big, huge Wall Street Journal thing, disaster in company with new hire? So that's the questions that the company has going through their mind. The interviewer is going through their mind about protecting the company. And to make that work, you end the mystery, give them your history. All they really want to know is just that you're not an axe murderer. You're not going to go psycho and start shooting people or something like that. All they want to know is you've got a stable history. So you take the most recent relevant history and you just mention it. So if you're applying for an IT position, information technology, let's say, all you have to do is mention your relevant background. Something like, I worked for 5 years at Accenture. I brought in a lot of money into the business, into the company. I've been working there for a long time, doing good work. I've been trying to move up the ladder. They're getting a little bit of pushback on me about it, so I'm looking around at other companies to see what my options are. That's your history. That's why you're there. It's also your background. Right away they know, okay, this is somebody that has been someone whose possibility, maybe they're going to work out. So you end the mystery, give them your history right from the beginning. You start to make that connection with the interview. And then the second part, even if you get over that first hurdle, it's possible to kind of stumble on the second part. And if that happens, even no matter how things are going at the beginning, as you know, if you can't follow through, then that too is also a disaster. And a lot of people, many people, even if they get past, they got the job history, they don't know what to do after that. They just start making up stuff, they're babbling out of their mind. They don't even know what the heck they're saying. They have no clue what to do after they mention their background. And that's a common problem. Because of that, the interview just pretty much stops there. If you're looking across the person across the table from you, looking at them, and you can see them kind of like shake their head. Not this one. No. Close, but however, if you do make that connection, if you do make things work at the second part, and really get going, then they start to sit up a little bit. You can start to lean forward, thinking, okay, we're getting somewhere. We aren't there yet. It's that third part they're really waiting for, but at least we're getting somewhere. This is the sort of reaction of one, and from all these other people haven't gotten, maybe you are the one. And the second part, the Skip Freeman method, is to hype the hit. Hype the hit. Now, hype the hit.
Oh, okay.
H-Y-P-E, the hit. H-I-T. Think about, briefly, greatest hits. You've got a greatest hits album, but there's one hit on that album that particularly is really good. And that's the one you want to talk about. That's the one you want to hype. That's the one you really want to emphasize. So you hype the hit to make sure they know what that is. And the reason is, going back again, putting the interview aside for a moment, going back to the date. you're on a date, you know you're not dealing with an axe murderer, and there are no psychological issues in their background. So that's a good sign. That's a good start. The next thing that you want to do is you're thinking, why should I bother with you? I mean, there are a lot of other people I could be going out with here. And as you look around the room of that fancy French fancy French restaurant, you can spot a few possibilities out there. You think, maybe I'd be better over at that table or at that table. Why you? What's so special about you? Well, it's the same thing for the interviewer. Interviewer is sitting there and thinking, why you? What's so special about you that I really should have you at my company? And that's where you hype the hit. You find one hit. It's not your greatest hits. We'll get more into your detail later on. But just hype the hit. What's the one relevant thing that you can talk about, relates directly to the job position, and that's going to really impress them and get them interested and excited? Hype the hit. So again, if you're for IT, applying for IT, you could say, I rolled out a multi-million-dollar information technology computer distribution nationwide, had 8 people that I worked directly with, and we came on time and under budget. So something like that, that's pretty good. Hype the hit. All right, you're doing well so far. Things are going along pretty good. Maybe you're going to get that opportunity. Maybe they're going to look at things. This is where most people fall down. Most people just stumble, fall, break a leg, whatever, and it just gets bad. Because it's that final part. It's the closer. What do they want at the end? Most people don't understand that. And because of that, the whole opportunity fails. It's gone. It's over. It's through. However, if you nail this last part, if you handle all 3 parts of the question, tell me about yourself. Right there, you've got an impressionable, favorable connection with that person. You've made that connection, and they're thinking of you as a real possibility for the future. So really that they can work with, really that they can make something. And the third, final part, is to explain that you're moving on up. Moving on up. And again, put aside the interview one last time. Go back to the date. You're on a date, nice place, beautiful restaurant, nice music. You know you don't have an axe murderer across the table from you, so you're excited about that. You know that this person is something, really, they're good. They're good company, and you know enough about them, you know they're worthwhile to stick around with. So the final question in your mind is, where is this relationship going? Is this going to be a one-night stand? A one-week stand? A one-month stand? A one-year stand? Just where is this relationship going? It's the same thing with the interview. I want to know where that relationship is going. Where are you going to head? Are you just going to hit and run? Are you going to be a one-night stand for the company and go in and get whatever you want out of it, and then boom, you're off to the next company? You're going to play companies off against each other? Just where is this relationship going? So that's where you explain you're moving on up. I'm going to explain that, hey, you're going to start out with a company, start with a base, and you're just going to start building and helping them out. Again, going back to the IT example. You're in IT, you can explain that, as you go through 2-3 years, you start to bring in more and more business, more and more money for the company. And as you bring in more money and more business, you'll start to gradually move up the ladder. You start to move into manager, senior manager, some type of senior manager position, and just gradually start to move up. As you bring more things in, you expect to move up, and you plan to stick to this company as long as you continue to keep that upward movement. Now, to wrap things up, first, it's not too obvious how dating and interviewing have anything to do with each other. They seem to be completely different worlds, but actually, they're kind of similar. When you're out there on a date, you've got that question about who that person is, so you want to, in the mystery, give them your history. That'll help you out. And also when you're in a date, you want to make sure that you connect with them and explain how you hype the hit. Are you really the right person? You're really the right person to connect with. And then finally, we're going to explain how you're moving on up. You're going to stick around, you'll be around for the long haul. You're somebody that definitely can connect with long term. Now, this question of tell me something about yourself is a huge issue. A lot of people fall down. And maybe you're thinking, Tim, that's just too much bother. 3 parts of the question, I don't want to do that. That's fine. But most likely your chances of getting hired and getting through the interview process are just a lot less if you don't use this 3-step method. If you do use a 3-step method, then you start to make that connection, you start to pull people in, and you start to really sell them before you even get into the heart of the interview. Once you do that, you'll be seen as large and in charge. You won't be wasting their time. It's a simple process, just 3 steps. You start to enjoy things more. Covered a lot of things today. If you remember nothing else, just remember this. Interview is kind of like a date. So at your next interview, make yourself dateable.